Oh.
I hope you're fucking prepared.
Yes, that is how we start the 83 Weeks After Party. Hello, you are invited if you love 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff. Tonight we are talking about a Nitro from a whole quarter century ago. We got Six defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Rey Mysterio, Sting taking a stand against NWO, and Nick Patrick's plea to return to WCW. And you guys are all going to get the opportunity to attach your microphone back to your shirt and then ask the man who was in charge that entire time of all that stuff. Ask him anything you want. Guys, my name is Christy, and as you can see, I brought all my friends with me tonight. Coming to you from the best city in the world, Los Angeles, we got Adam Woods, George Hermoza, and Steve Kaufmann.
Yeah.
Everybody's cheering for you guys, I swear.
Hell yes.
Yes.
I like it. Let's raise the roof.
Do that too. All the way off for this man. He was in charge of WCW, the EP president, and WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Eric Bischoff. Hey, Eric.
Do you guys know that today my social media game is complete? Like if I never post another thing on social media, if I never get another response, if I never get another follow, which I know I will, at eBischoff on Twitter. But even if I didn't, my game is complete. You know why?
No.
Why? Because
Elon Musk. We have to check the Twitter.
Elon Musk.
Oh, way to steal my shit, brother.
Sorry.
Way to steal my shit. Because about 45 minutes ago, Elon Musk actually liked one of my tweets.
I didn't know that part.
Searching for the evidence. What was it that you said, Eric, that caught the attention of one Elon Musk?
I asked a simple question. I'm not going to look at my phone again to slow things down.
I know Steve's looking it up right now.
This episode is a condensed version because we've got some other great stuff coming up on every show. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. But I sent out, I asked a simple question. I said, I'm just curious if the board of directors at Twitter decide to reject Elon Musk's offer, does that open up the possibility of class action lawsuits and shareholder lawsuits? Within 45 minutes, I was over 1 million impressions. And one of those was Elon Musk himself. So yeah, baby. WWE Hall of Famer and an Elon Musk like. I'm good to go.
Wow. Congratulations.
Do you see it? Did you find Elon there?
Let's dig through the seven. It's going to be kind of hard because there are 7,000 other likes.
Just go to Elon Musk's Twitter and look at the last thing that he liked.
There we go.
Well, this also tells me that he has his finger on the pulse of the wrestling world because he wouldn't have even seen your tweet. It wouldn't have popped up to him if he wasn't following similar accounts or, we all know how the Twitterverse works.
All right, well,
great. Now the rumors.
So now you're on the radar, Eric. Do you feel a lot of pressure now that you know that you are influencing one of the richest men in the entire world?
I give no fucks.
That's a good answer because if you gave any answer now, I can hear the headlines: Elon Musk and Eric Bischoff starting new wrestling promotion.
Really, right? Honest to goodness, I posted some stuff last night because I was watching Dynamite, and let me just say there was a lot of things I liked about that show, and I pointed them out, but I posted one negative thing. And the weirdest motherfuckers on social media are huge AEW fans. I'm just telling you, I get the weirdest responses I've ever had since 2009 when I signed up for Twitter. There are some really twisted, and none of them have more than 15 followers. they're in their freaking basement, jerking off of old episode or old dirt sheets from Dave Meltzer or something. It's weird.
Well, speaking of old weird.
Wait a second. There's no telling, if maybe Legend of Zelda Hub is one of those folks, but they would like to know what the Bischoff Musk tag team name would be. We're not ready to let this go yet.
It
We're
would
throwing
be-
these guys in a tag team.
Are you ready for this? Muskoff.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Muskoffs.
Wow. We are on a roll here, brother. So happy that you all have joined us live. We are getting great questions from all of our live viewers. Let me tell you guys how this is going to work tonight. We are going to go till about 10, maybe 10 to the next hour, because at 6 p.m., 9 p.m. Pacific time, Taz
6
and
p.m.
Zabu,
Sabu.
Taz and Sabu, say that 10 times fast, are actually sitting down on ad-free shows together to watch back their match from barely legal ECW pay-per-view that also went down in 97, right? So
April
that is
13th.
a first.
Hey,
Thank you,
Christy,
George.
where are you right now?
Guys, I am on the farm in Minnesota. It's planting season.
I was going to say, you look like you're in my grandmother's dining room right now.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's. It's somebody's grandma's dining room. For
Agnes,
sure.
my grandma Agnes would have loved that wallpaper.
Oh, there's more, and I'm sure you guys will see me in every room at some point. So you'll get the full 1980s wallpaper tour. I do hope to set up a little area here so that I can pretty lit and all that.
Are the couches covered in plastic?
No, but there are other grandma farmy things going on here that I would rather not share with everybody.
This looks like we're doing this show from Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah. There's got to be a rooster something somewhere. A picture of it, a cookie jar, something.
All right,
well,
come on.
this
Let's
is
keep
vegan
this show
farm.
going. I'm sorry. I'm fucking with you guys.
Vegan
I apologize. Let's keep it going.
Well, Eric, I mentioned that you and Conrad took a look back at a Nitro from April 1997 this week. And I know, George, you were especially excited. You called this one of your favorite Nitro episodes of all time. So I want you to tell Eric why it was so important that you would hear back about this episode. What made it so incredibly memorable?
I think everything right about 1997 and professional wrestling is in this episode, whether it's drama, action, new faces, new catchphrases, like everything. And what's crazy is as you flip over to Raw, they were having one of the best Raws, of the year as well. So kind of this date, just in general, just what an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. But again, going back to what I said last week, you had, and my favorite thing about the episode was a Nash promo that I can probably say word by word, for reasons that were mentioned last week and also on the show as well. But just, the Bite Me, the return of Scott Hall, the match with Rey Mysterio on 6, Ultimo Dragon, like everything that is right about pro wrestling was in this episode of WCW Nitro.
I agree. And I think Conrad always says that whenever we touch on anything from 1997, because Conrad knows more about the stuff I did than I do, to be honest. He's like the Rain Man in some respects. He just he remembers everything, and he can not only remembers moments and big ideas and big matches and whatever pay-per-views, but in a very linear fashion. So we can almost tell you on any given week and any given year what was going on, not only in WCW when he's doing my show, but also WWE or going back to NWA or whatever. He's a freak that way. But consistently, whenever we talk about anything about 1997, the responses we get, clearly that was a pretty good freaking year.
And just to kind of fast forward like 3 months, I'm hoping that you guys cover the July 14th edition of Nitro for all the same reasons. So I don't know if Steve can maybe put it in his notes. July 14, 97. Hopefully
Steve is already texting Conrad and saying, okay, this is what we need to do that week. And here's the deal. Conrad likes to keep things consistent, like, on an anniversary basis. So chances are good we'll do that.
George, you said July 14th, 97?
July 14, 1997. It was the day after Bash at the Beach 97. But again, also, Nitro was on fire. Raw was on fire. But with that said, and again, I know that guys from WCW, I'm not saying they were religiously watching to see what Raw was doing, but was there ever any rumblings like, that Raw had a pretty good show?
None.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, like, and I know you just answered it with none, but it's like almost as if like if they had a shit show, you're like, we got nothing to worry about. But if they have the good show, it's like, I know you said none, but like, why is that? How come you guys didn't have like a let's see what they're doing? Are they doing better than what they were doing a couple months ago?
You got to remember, George. While those of us were involved in writing, creating, producing, performing, in some cases, the show, we were all kind of busy and none of us watched Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time everybody got home, which was the next day, in some cases, in my case, maybe the same night, but late at night, and then I'd show up at work and I'm working on the next show. I'm not thinking about what anybody else did. I'm only thinking about what we did as it relates to what I'm going to do next week. So there was really I know this sounds weird because if you weren't in that machine, if you weren't on that treadmill with us, you would think, well, why didn't you just, take a couple hours to sit down and watch that tape? Because mucker father, I had 15 hours of work to do the next day. And I've only had 2 hours of sleep, and I got better shit to do. And it didn't matter. Nothing that the WWF was doing at that time when we were head to head mattered to me because I wasn't in a reactive mode. I was in a proactive mode. I was creating a new format. I was creating a new way to present wrestling. I was introducing things that no one has ever seen before. Why in the world would I spend 5 minutes out of what little time I had left in my life to go watch what somebody else was doing that was not working?
Was there nobody else that maybe had that job the same way that maybe WWF had somebody there?
We didn't have enough people to do the shit we needed to do. I wasn't going to pay anybody to sit back and watch fucking television and tell me what happened last night that didn't matter anyway. That'd be a nice job. Hey, dude, buy a bag of fucking Doritos, pick up a 6-pack of Mountain Dew, maybe order some Kentucky Fried Chicken, sit at home and watch TV and tell me what you thought. No, that'd be every wrestling fan's dream job. But
Mountain Dew. I think you meant Surge.
97, yeah.
Surge.
Oh,
Yeah.
Surge.
This actually leads into E. Godley.
Same company, PepsiCo, same company.
E. Godley had a good super chat question, which thank you for the super chat. What were Tuesdays like during the Nitro days? And he followed up specifically asking, in other words, what did you do typically work-wise on a Tuesday after a Nitro?
Typically, if I was able to fly home that night, which more often than not I did, I would say 50% of the time. So I'm going to use that as an example. So if I got home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I usually show up at the office about 9:30 or 10, and I would focus on admin stuff, president stuff, like office shit. Nothing to do with creative or talent or anything, just office shit. And then about 2 or 3 o'clock, because by then everybody else was kind of coming in, creative team and things like that, people that didn't fly home with me on the jet that night. And then we would start doing basically an autopsy. What worked? Let's pull it apart. Let's dissect it. What worked? What did we like? What didn't we like? What do we have to change? What do we want to build off of? And let's start thinking about next week's show. But it would usually start with, okay, what worked and what didn't work last night.
With that said, do you ever get like the quarter ratings? Or after you say like, oh, this didn't work, but then you look at the quarter ratings like, wow, I guess it really did work.
No, good question. You always ask good questions, Jorge. But that was, Adam, why are you laughing so hard?
Jorge, I've never heard George refer to such. Yeah, so that's
really?
It's
actually his legal name, folks.
Oh, wow.
Legal name.
I always call him Jorge. I never call him George. Very rarely do I call him George.
Or Man Bun.
Anyway, Jorge. More often than not, when I looked at the quarter hours, I didn't necessarily look at them in terms, and this is a fascinating subject, really, because this really, we could spend 2 hours talking about this. But wrestling fans and in the dipshits that post stuff about wrestling ratings and analytics that know nothing about the business whatsoever. Nothing. They're really good at analytics, but they have absolutely no feel for how to apply it to a creative endeavor. They just dump all these analytics on you, and I always say this: you can either dazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit. Dirt sheet writers and the dipshits that are posting this plethora of analytical information with no context or anything else are baffling you with bullshit. But what I would use the quarter hours for, to get back to your question after my rant, is more about the timing and the pacing of the show than actually the individuals that were in that match. The tendency for people that are just wrestling fans who think they understand shit is to go, oh, well, this guy was in that quarter hour and it didn't do well. Well, that's just like one little data point within that 15-minute span. What else was going on? And other television, not just, the competition, but other television. How long was that match? Was there a longer commercial break in front of that quarter hour than there typically was? Because some commercial breaks are longer than others. How did we end the match that preceded the commercial break? Because sometimes that factored. So there's not like just one simple, easy way to analyze a quarter hour and come to a choice or decision that seems to make sense. But for me, when I looked at quarter hours, I was looking more at pacing. Were we in an interview prior to the commercial break? Were we into hot action? Did we leave that match with a finish or controversy at the end of the finish? I was looking for the elements within the preceding quarter hour, not necessarily who was in the quarter hour. That's the best way to say it. Took me a minute to get there. Sorry, Taz. Sorry, Sabu. I go long sometimes.
No,
I mean, Blade,
yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the chats, and obviously, Eric, you've been pretty critical of one Dave Meltzer. There was a particular segment in this Nitro that actually aged even better in hindsight than it did when it first aired. But that was you and your interaction with Jj Dillon. I thought when I was a kid, I actually went over to my dad's house to watch it because he had the cable on Monday night and whatever. That was one where my dad really didn't watch wrestling, but he was just like, "Oh no, Bischoff is fucked right here." Like, because Jj Dillon and the board of directors, they're going to screw with him. Yes, he's under contract, but he's just basically going to be like, just a mud hole stopped through him because he has to answer to the whims of the board of directors, right? So Dave Meltzer was really critical of this particular segment. I loved your insight that you and JJ just riffed and what have you. But, I mean, is it kind of cool to you that it's held up so good, this particular segment with you and JJ? 25 years later, it's held up, especially with that the line about Stanford that JJ utters and whatever. It's even better than it was 25 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's the magic that happens sometimes, not every time, but when you improv, when you have a good idea of what you need to get across, you know where you're going, but you don't have it's not like Waze. You don't have somebody in your ear telling you, turn right, 300 feet, turn left, When you know where you want to go, but you have the freedom to go out there and just do it and let it feel real, it almost always works. And I think that's why that segment held up so well. Now, there were some cute little shots in there and things like that kind of contextualized the time and what was going on, which is probably one of the reasons why it holds up a little bit. But the other reason is because your dad, who was not a wrestling fan, it was believable. And it was believable because it wasn't too good. And I don't want this to sound like a shot at JJ, because JJ did a great job. But JJ wasn't performing. JJ was experienced enough and talented enough to take the information. He knew where we were going. He knew what his job was. He knew he was the suit, but he wasn't so good at it that it was so polished that it didn't feel real. Like if he would have been so good at it and so polished and tried to put himself over, it wouldn't have worked. That's a really important point. People trying to put themselves over kind of take the audience out of the moment sometimes because you're trying too hard. JJ didn't do that. He was just very natural. And that's why it was believable. It was awesome. And as far as Meltzer's concerned, look, I used to read Dave's shit and he would predict, oh, this isn't going to work, that isn't going to work, Nitro's going to suck, Bischoff's going to get fired in 3 months, whatever dumb shit he said. And whenever Dave would criticize something we were doing, I would go, okay, we're on the right track. Whenever he would put something over, I would go, oh, we got to think about this. Meltzer's putting over, probably heading in the wrong direction. I didn't want to be a dirt sheet booker. I didn't want to get the Dirt Sheet Booker of the Year award. I knew that if Dave Meltzer thought it was a good idea, it was probably the wrong thing in terms of growing our business. So I never really paid much attention to what Dave said.
I think we may be resurrecting that award sometime soon for someone who's new in the game. But let's move on to another super chat. This one came in from Spade Racing before we even got started live today, so he is ready to hear, Eric, any memories or stories from when you appeared on Arliss?
You know, it was cool because I think that I did Arliss, I did the Jeff Foxworthy show. I think those are the only 2 things I did. And I'm not sure which was, I think Arliss was first. I thought it was so cool because number one, I loved the show. I was a fan of the show. So when you get invited to be on a show that you're a fan of, that's a different level kind of fun. That's awesome. I don't care who you are. That's really cool. And the other part of it was just so fun. It was so easy. And what I took away from that is like everybody, like, now, first of all, it's Hollywood, so it's pretty freaking phony to begin with. And I understand that now. At the time, I hadn't spent a lot of time in Hollywood, so I wasn't quite as cynical as I am today. But it's like all the producers and the writers and the director and the talent, you know, you guys are great. Because, of course, they're thinking, oh, God, we got a couple of wrestlers coming in to be a part of the script. This is going to suck. They're not actors. They've never been to Juilliard. What have they ever been in before? That was the attitude, I'm sure. And then we get there, and it's TV, right? So it's, you know, they're shooting for a budget, so everything's really time constrained. And, okay, it's hair and makeup, there's rehearsal, and of course everybody's thinking, oh my God, we've got these wrestlers here, and you know, it's going to take twice as long to get to the rehearsals. And it's like Randy looked at his script, I looked at my script, and we nailed it in one take.
Of course.
And it was like, everybody was like, whoa, whoa, that was awesome. You guys are great. You should be actors. What the fuck do you think we do for a living? You fucking living in a bubble comedy writer sons of bitches. Don't you know that's what we do for a living? But we do it live and there is no second take. So we get good at this shit on the first take. Clip that, Steve. That'll be a good one.
Handled.
Yeah.
Have
Was
they
it
asked
like a sick
specifically?
What?
What?
Did you have to take a
was
sick
gonna
day?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, how did the
You
scheduling
guys
work
are
with
stepping
filming?
on each other. I can't get the question.
Christy?
So Lex, Gorgeous George, and Randy were with you on this. Were they specifically requested by the producers, or did you just pick who was going to come and play out this part of the story with you? How did that work?
No, they were requested. I had no creative control over their show.
How did you carve out the time to even go and film for a whole day?
We had enough time to plan and coordinate. They knew I couldn't do anything on a Sunday or a Monday or early Tuesday, so I think we shot that on a Thursday actually. So we made sure we had plenty of time.
Love that. You guys got to excuse me. There's no high-speed internet in Sleepy Eye, Minnesota.
You're in Sleepy Eye?
I'm in Sleepy Eye.
I got hammered one night in Sleepy Eye. I used to go
Where?
to the guy. His name was Kevin. I'm not sure. I can't remember what his last name was, but we just called him Puck because he was a hockey player. So his name
Sounds
was
about
Puck.
right.
And he was from Sleepy Eye. And he got married, and we had to go to Sleepy Eye for his bachelor party. You know what bachelor parties are like in Sleepy Eye?
Oh. Did you go to the Cat and the Fiddle?
Like every other Friday night in Sleepy Eye. It was fun.
Oh, he could have at least taken you to the next big town over of New Ulm. You know?
I've been to New Ulm. There's a good brewery there. What's the name of it, Christy?
Shells.
What is it?
Shells.
Shells, yeah. Yep, Shells Brewery. Their spring wheat beer is really good. It's a seasonal. It used to be. They're probably owned by Miller Coors now. Basically.
Oh no, the Marty family still runs it. I went to high school with those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to hear that. I love this.
Well, then this kind of goes right along with it. Our good friend and resident shitster, Mick Mack, wants to know, Eric, if it's true that you got escorted out of a bar in Dallas after you got into a scuffle about a low tip you gave a bartender. I'm going to guess this one is false. What do you say, sir?
I never set foot. I was in my Airbnb. I went to WrestleCon. I did some stuff for WWE in their hotel, and then I went home. I never set foot in the bar. Never set foot in the bar. False.
Fake news.
Nice try,
Sheet fodder, folks.
Nice try, you shit disturber.
I kind of wish it was true, though.
Yeah, 10 points.
John Alba's in the
Yeah.
your co-host of Strictly Business, John Alba's in the chat, and he had a couple good ones, including I believe the finishing move of you and Elon Musk would be a no ticky, no laundry. And he's also pointing out just now that Strictly Business has the best hair combo among all the podcasts between your hair and John Alba's hair.
John's giving himself a lot of credit there. John, you have done 2 episodes of Strictly Business with me. I get it. You're trying to get the rub. I get it. You're young. You're learning. And you're actually able to co-host the show. And co-hosting is being kind. And you know that deep down inside. I'm carrying your ass. Because you have an Emmy and I don't. Right? Elba has an Emmy. I don't. But your Emmy will never, ever come close to being more valuable when it comes to being a television asset or a media personality than my hair. Just it is what it is, brother.
Boom.
Justin,
but please keep making that show because it's awesome and we're all learning a ton.
I'm having fun with John. Come on, you guys. That was a joke.
Well, speaking
He's
of
a very
TV,
show-dressed man.
yeah, speaking of TV stuff, I mean, why wasn't WCW Saturday Night a bigger deal? I know there was a comment in the chat. I actually was thinking about this before we got on air. I love the set, whether it be, the purple lights and that ambiance hosted by Jim Ross and Missy Hyatt. You had a sojourn on there. And then also the machinery kind of template and, the smoke and the deals. So was there any plans to make WCW Saturday Night bigger after the inclusion?
No, I'm going to cut you off there because you asked long-winded questions. No. And the reason I'm only doing this because we want to make room for
Taz and Sabu.
Oh my God. I'm getting second staged for Taz and Sabu. Oh my God. What is that?
Unbelievable.
Second stage is if we went up at the same time. I feel like you're sharing the first stage with Taz and Sabu.
That's fucking worse.
Oh, shit.
That's even worse.
Yep.
No, the answer to your question was no, because WCW Saturday Night was on at 6:05 Eastern, 3:05 Pacific time. Nobody's watching television on Saturday afternoon, folks. Nobody. So why would there be any emphasis trying to make something that was not going to be important more important? No. Short answer, no.
Dope.
I was watching.
But now you
I was
know.
watching.
Well, let's take a second to congratulate one of our live viewers. We are so excited and grateful for everybody who comes and joins us live and hangs out and asks great questions. And tonight, Joshua Turtle, he wants us to know that in 3 weeks, he is celebrating 15 years sober. Congratulations to you, Josh. And here he is with a super chat question. Eric, he is wondering, what are your thoughts on Matt Bloom? This is the man, for those who maybe don't know, I know Eric knows, but who runs the Performance Center for WWE.
Yeah. First of all, the most important response I can give is congratulations, brother. I have a special kind of respect for you and people like you. Much respect. I didn't know Matt Bloom. I don't think I've ever had much contact with him. A little bit, maybe. But I can't give you a good answer there. I don't want to make shit up.
Right on.
And
What are your thoughts about Matt Bloom, Christy?
Yeah. Well, you know what?
No, there's something there. So let's dig in. Because you always put me on the hot seat. Do you have something going on from Matt Bloom?
Well, no, I was going to sassily say there, Eric, that perhaps you respected because you don't know him very well or didn't work with him. I think there are a slew of wrestlers who would speak positively about their experience with him. I didn't have the same experience when I was working at the Performance Center day in, day out. Yeah, I guess not somebody that I respect because of the way that I was treated by him. So
let it go with that.
To lighten up the mood, I never realized just how much, according to Woods, looks like Princess Leia with his headphones.
What? Do I? Does it look like two Cinnabons?
Come on, chat. Am I wrong?
Oh my goodness.
Oof.
I don't know. I don't have
Was
good
that
hair
ladies?
as much as Eric, so there you go. I gotta hide it.
Eric's disdain, I think, answers this question from top guy Zoe Lopez. Will Eric be watching Barely Legal tonight with Taz and Sabu?
No. And honestly, not because I'm not interested in it, because I think it would be interesting, and I'm really grateful. I kid a lot. You know, here's the problem I have, like on social media. By the way, that question I asked about Elon Musk on the board is at over 2 million impressions in less than 2 hours. I'm going to become a social media influencer by the time this show is over. I'll be able to,
Elon's going to insist on giving you his seat on the Twitter board. Are you ready for that?
yeah, well, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, let's get to this.
First thing I'm going to ask for is a double blue check. I want to be the first one with a double.
I love that. Well, here's a comment that got a big blue star from us. Thanks to Paul Herrera for the super chat. He says, "Hey, Eric, big fan. Given how things didn't go the way they should have as a feel-good match," he's talking about Jeff Hardy versus Sting. He wants to know your thoughts. He says, "I thought it would be pretty cool. Not that Jeff would need it." Is that something you would be excited to watch, Eric?
Did we lose Eric?
Oh, you know, I was wondering if that was on my end or his.
So we currently have us.
Either that, he's giving it a lot of thought.
I heard him. I think he's coming through.
That is a thoughtful face.
I'm back.
Okay, good.
You guys have me?
We can hear you. And now it's.
He's got that Minnesota connection.
Right?
Let me just hide that.
That middle of nowhere good stuff. Well, guys, you can, George, why don't you throw in on this one that Paul asked
I'm a little confused at the question. Are they saying if AEW should have that match?
I think that's the question. As a make good.
Are we back?
Yep.
I think we're back, Eric. You're looking and sounding good. Let's get this question back. I think the question is, should AEW do some form of historical make good with Jeff Hardy and Sting?
I kind of like that idea. Now, it has to be set up properly. There has to be a little bit of a story. You can't just shoot it. So one thing I have about AEW is whatever. I don't even want to get into it because every fucking person on social media that has 3 followers is going to respond to whatever I say. So if it was done well, set up properly, I think it'd be really cool. I think it could be good for Sting. It could be good for Jeff. But you'd really have to set that up right.
Also, at this pace, I think Tony Khan should just buy Impact Wrestling so he has the footage.
Don't give him any ideas.
He is a big announcement next week. That might be it. Dude's got money.
Oh, God. Please don't let that be it. Please, I'm begging you.
No, it's Elon Musk is buying AEW.
Even for Tony's sake, don't let that be it.
Well, let's get a conversation going about some current WWE programming. This is a great one from Jerry Metters. He wants to know, Eric, do you think that Cody will be the one to finally unseat Roman Reigns? Gosh, I love the idea of that. What do you think?
I don't see it.
Oh.
I just don't see it. Maybe. Could be wrong. Here's the thing. When you start predicting shit like this, I have an opinion which is influenced heavily by my taste. I don't see that. Now, that's not because Cody isn't able, qualified, worthy. It's just I don't see that matchup. I can't see the story. I can't see the backdrop. I can't see a premise for that story that makes me go, oh, that'd be cool.
So the Rhodes family and the Anoa'i family at like a clash of legacy.
Now you could get me thinking, especially if you could get Dustin involved, because that would make it real.
Might as well throw in the Shockmaster in there.
You had to you just had to shit on that, didn't you, George?
Pretty much.
You just had to.
Uncle Fred. Good old Uncle Fred.
You better have something better if you're going to do that. Yep.
Well, speaking of unseating Roman, there was a big little thing on this past week episode of Young Rock. I don't know if everybody saw it, but it was a big kind of tease within the episode of like, a young, being portrayed a young Joe Anoa'i / Roman Reigns saying like, hey, let's wrestle. Obviously, Rock saying a match like that can only be at a WrestleMania. Do you think with that episode happening, do you think it's going to happen at next year's WrestleMania?
I don't know, man. Jorge, I want it to. I'd love it to, but I don't. There's no way of knowing, right? If you're not in the discussions, if you're not in Vince's head and Rock's head, how do you know that? I don't think it, but I would love to see it. How's that for an answer?
If it happens, do you think The Rock should be the one that takes the belt from Roman Reigns?
No.
Fair.
It makes no sense. That makes no sense. No. It makes no long-term sense. And if that were to happen, it would have to happen in a way where even if Rock beat Roman, something else would have to happen. There would have to be a part B to that finish that would force Roman and Rock, even after such a grueling, and I imagine it would be a fantastic match emotionally and executed. Something would have to happen that would bring them together, that would leave the fans happy.
And how do you feel about, this potentially being teased on Young Rock? Obviously, you tease a lot of and advance a lot of NWO and WCW storylines via Jay Leno. So how do you feel as somebody who innovated in the inclusion of wrestling on a mainstream show? How do you feel about it being featured or being teased on Young Rock?
I don't think it matters. I think the attention span and the memory, like I can't even remember, and I'm not basing this off me, but I think in general, we would all agree that the attention span for most of us has become very collapsed because of just the way we consume information and media. It's not, there's no such thing anymore as appointment TV because it's all available to you. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and watch, whatever you want to watch that was on 6 hours ago. I don't think anybody will remember anything that happened on Young Rock as it relates to WrestleMania a year from now. Absolutely no connection.
I think it's going to be on the build-up because Young Rock is NBC, obviously WrestleMania and the WWE Archive are on the Peacock, so I think it's going to be in the build-up. That's just me.
All right, I'll bet you $20, and a year from now, we'll figure out how I'm going to pay you or you're going to pay me, but I don't think so.
10 points.
Market.
There you go.
Market, spark it. Let it ignite it. Mr. Whisper gave us a $50 super chat. So thank you so much, Mr. Whisper. And he has a very good question, which is recently a lot of the giants in wrestling are coming under fire for being bad workers, such as Omos in WWE or Satnam Singh, who just debuted in AEW last night. What is the process behind getting a giant over when they lack the athleticism of smaller guys?
That's hilarious. Was Andre the Giant athletic?
Yeah.
Athletic or athletic for his size? Like I think there's a handicap at a size.
Did he do Hurricane Radas?
No.
Did he do drop kicks? Did he do anything off the top rope? Did he do anything other than maybe a hip toss and sit on your fucking chest and kill you?
When he was younger.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't like this question, and thank you, by the way. But like, how do you know like Satnam Singh is like a bad worker? If you only seen him for like a minute,
he's a fucking giant. He's not supposed to be a good worker.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like why is he
He's
automatically
5 fucking fun. You guys not able to go to grade school? For crying out loud. A giant being a good worker? What do you want him to fucking lucha man? Jeez. I'm losing my shit here. These are the dumbest questions. I don't care if you paid $50. I don't care if you paid $500. I'll give you your fucking money back. Oh,
Thank you, by the way.
God.
To be fair to the question, his question is, what is the process of getting a giant over?
You just let him be a giant.
There it is.
You. For the love of all things sacred, just let him be a giant. Fee, fi, fo, fucking fum. I'm going to come in here and you're all done. I'm going to step on you. I'm going to squash you. I'm going to sit on you. And I'm going to go home and eat 12 pizzas while you're doing suicidal toupee motherfucking things to 124-pound little midgets outside of the ring. And yes, you look like an Olympic gymnast, but I'm a giant. It's not what I do.
So do less, have everyone work around them.
I need a minute.
Take a minute, Eric.
Well, we can give you about 10 seconds, I'd say.
Yeah.
Oh, he actually left. There goes my
There
my
he is.
reception again. I was gonna ask him if Satnam.
All right, go ahead. Ask
Oh,
me a
we
question.
got the
We've
the
only
dog all
got 16
upset.
minutes left before Sabu and Taz crash my party.
Are they coming?
Well, Eric, Satnam Singh debuted last night on AEW in an episode of Dynamite that you said you actually watched. You don't often tune in. Did he stand out to you? What was your reaction when that big old guy popped up on screen? Okay.
Next question.
That's fair.
No, I'm serious.
Mick
Because I don't always want to be negative. I was underwhelmed. Let's put it that way.
Did you want Joe to have like a freaking second, maybe a day, maybe a night to celebrate, and we could have done all that on Rampage or next week?
I didn't think about that. I was just, I
did.
I dumped out of the show. And I tweeted this, because I was into it. The MJF Wardlow thing, that angle, that was awesome. I think that was so well. And I happened to tune in right like 2 minutes before that. So when I turned on the show, when I finally had time to sit down and watch it, I tuned it on live, and boom, like 2 minutes before, that. And I'm sorry, Captain. What's his name?
Sean Dean.
So right before that match started is when I tuned in. That match started, and then there was an angle, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And it just went downhill after that. And there was one point right before Joe and Suzuki came out. There was a women's match, and there was a backstage scene with, I don't remember who it was.
Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose.
No.
And Vicky.
Or it was
Tony
the
Storm
it was
and
that.
Yeah.
It was that.
Jimmy Hater.
And it was so horrible. It was just so poorly executed. It was so amateur hour. It was like just the worst shit I've ever seen. Just from a production point of view.
Yeah.
I'm not even commenting on storylines or anything else. I don't care because I wasn't following it. But just the presentation of it was like, I'm sorry, you lost me. And I said, I'm watching, I went, and I'm out. Now, I didn't really turn it off. I disconnected on social media. I said, and I'm out, because that whole presentation was so embarrassing. I just felt like I needed to take a shower after watching it. That's how bad it was. But I stuck with it. I'm watching the show. Now I'm off social media. And I'm watching the Joe Suzuki stuff, and I went, just not for me. And I get it. I'm not the demo. I get it. Other people dig it. Whatever. Not judging. I don't care. But there was one point in it, I got to tell you this. There was one point in the match, and I was kind of half paying attention, half not paying attention. But it was like, because Suzuki and Joe, they were like chopping the shit out of it. And then every once in a while, you'd see a wrestling move, right? Then they chop. There'd be a wrestling move. And there was one point when Suzuki was like underneath, and he was trying to reach around Joe, and he reached between Joe's legs and over his back and tried to clasp his hands. And Tony Schiavone said, because like one of the color commentators, I don't even know who said it, said, oh, and Suzuki's, trying to reach around and, grab a hold of Joe. And Tony said, and that's no easy feat. And just as he said that, there's like a hard camera shot on Suzuki reaching around Joe's ass. And Tony says, and that's no easy feat. And I popped for it. I actually tweeted it. As it happened, I tweeted it. I jumped back into social media. I went, that may have been the best line, the best bite I've ever heard live. That's no easy feat. But you'd have to match that lineup with the visual. It was just awesome. I actually texted Tony while he was doing it. I texted him. That's the best fucking bite I've ever heard in my life.
Whew.
Congratulations.
Follow me on Twitter @ebischoff. You can find it. I'm plugging my shit here, folks.
Hell yeah.
I'm old. I need the money. Come on.
Well, and we're still going to give our ad-free shows, guys, their special little time here at the end of the show. So I'm going to take one last comment from our 83-week subscribers. This one comes from Legend of Zelda Hub, who wants you to know, Eric, in 1996, I wrote you a letter asking you to bring Nitro to West Virginia. And you wrote us back explaining that you wanted bigger venues for Nitro. He says, always loved that honesty and that you took the time to write back. This is the first time we're hearing this. Was that something that you did often, respond to fan letters?
I've always tried to. I mean, that's why I love social media. That's why I love doing this show. I love staying connected. Quick story, real quick. I'm sorry, Taz. Sorry, Sabu. Quick story. When I was like 8 years old, my next door neighbor, he was obviously older. Guy lived in a house. He was actually friends with my dad. Had a Citizens Band radio. And I used to go over to his house on the Saturdays, and he would talk to people on this radio. Now, this is when you had dial phones, you know, so a Citizens Band radio where you didn't have to dial a phone. You just pick up my microphone and talk to people. Fascinated me. Fast forward, when I was about 14, now I'm living in Minnesota, I had a neighbor that had a ham radio set. That ham radio, he was able to talk to people all over the world. Still only phones. This was before cell phones and emails and shit. It was like 1970, 71. So to be able to turn on a radio and talk to people in Europe and all over the world fascinated me. And I think it was that impression of contact, being in contact with people and connecting with people, whether it's through social media or shows like this. It's why I love doing this stuff. I'm fascinated with the idea of being able to develop a relationship with people that are miles, countries, continents away. I think it's a fascinating opportunity, and I love doing it. So, what was the question?
Responding to fan letters in 96.
That's why I respond to fan letters, whether it's snail mail, email, social media, ham radio, or shows like this. I just love staying in contact. I think fans deserve a connection. They want that connection. That's why they're fans. And for me to be able to help occasionally make an actual connection, I know it makes people happy, and I love making people happy. Except for Dave Meltzer. Fuck you!
Well, guys, we have to wrap up for our 83 Weeks YouTube subscribers. Thank you, Eric, for bringing it as you always do. If you are one of the top guys, stay tuned. We've got a few more minutes for you, and we have a very hot question from Robert about, Tony Khan and all that talk about the Twitter comments being from bots. So if you want to hear Eric's answer, sign up at adfreeshows.com. And thank you so much for joining us live and for all the super chats. We do this every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, right here on the 83 Weeks channel and on Ad Free Shows. We hope to see you next week live, and stay tuned.
Whose cat is whining in the background?
I think it's
I was
Adam
wondering
Woods'
that,
puppy.
I love puppies whining. Puppies are cute.